Go. Okay,
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our final webinar in our current series. I'm delighted to be joined by Vera Lopez today, who's going to be giving an overview and analysis of women's handball in Portugal. As per the previous webinars, if you've joined us, there's a few housekeeping things to be aware of. Just keep your microphone on mute if you can. If you would like to raise a question, then please use the raise hand function or put it in the chat box. Vera's happy to take questions throughout the presentation, so that's cool. The webinar will be recorded and shared as previous ones have been. And then just again on the security front, if we do experience any security issues or you feel like your machine, your device has been taken over, then please remove yourself from the meeting, and we'll abort any meeting that is hacked. So without further ado, I'll pass over to Vera, who's going to give a brief introduction of herself and then take us through her overview analysis of ladies handball in Portugal.
Okay, so hello to everyone. Let me just put the presentation on. Okay, so I think the presentation is on. Is everything good, Ricardo?
Yeah, all good, all good.
Yes, okay. So I will start. So hello again to everyone. I'm Vera Lopes. I'm the Portugal Women's Handball Technical Director. Okay, so the presentation I'm going to do here, it's talk a little bit about the work that we are doing in the national team, the women's national team in Portugal, in the development of the youth players of under 16 and under 14. Okay, this is going to be my presentation. So, okay. A little bit difficult to pass. Okay. Sorry about the delay. Okay. So first thing I want to introduce. Whoa, sorry. This has a little bit of delay, so sorry about that. So first of all, I'm going to start with the presentation of all members that make part of the women's handball national team. In the top, we have the coaches and the assist coach and the physiotherapist in the senior team. And then above, we have all the coaches and assist coaches and physiotherapists, physiologic assists, the coaches that are with us in the national training centers. Okay, this is all the team that make part of this this organization. And one thing that I have to say here is Portugal, we don't have a lot of money, okay, in the national teams, but we have organization, okay. We cannot compare Portugal with France or other major national teams because they have a lot of money to spend, another different resources than us. We do more with less. This is our main goal. It's trying to do the best we can with the few resources that we have. So that depends almost about the teamwork that we have among our coaches and the people that are behind of this project. Okay. So we have the federation has a project towards 2028. Okay, so all of this we are projecting the future, and we are starting to structure everything thinking about the future and to this main project that the federation has that goes towards 2028. So the presentation It's going to be a little bit about, I'm going to talk with you about some topics. This is the topics that I'm going to explain to you later in the presentation. We go to all of these topics to get to the major thing that all together make what we do to develop the youth players. Okay, so let's start in the first one. The first one is the game references. So this game references, they were built with the women's and men's handball in the national team. Okay, it's not separate, it's the same, and we work it together. What was my challenge to the technicals in the women's parts that make part of this construction was to simplify everything. What was the challenge? We challenged to put everything on one page, or how can I explain this? Not everything, but all that we want about offense, it's in one page. All that we want for defense is in one page, and like that. All that we want for the goalkeepers, it's only in one page. This was crazy difficult to do. So my team here did a great job because they did it, and they did it really well. I'm really happy with the references that we created, and the goal was to create a common handball language to all. The focus was the development of the players, and the mission in women's handball in Portugal for us was really important to get and to involve all the Portuguese coaches. Okay, so with this, we started to do presentations. We open everything that we are doing in the national team, and our goals is to get to all coaches, and we start to talk the same language. We did it to we have all the development stages according to the age groups too. So this is the part, this is the main core of everything else. Okay, then now I'm going to show you overall about the work that we did with the national teams. Okay, here it's what we planned to do, but then we got COVID and some things changed. Okay, we had planned 8 training camps with 47 days of training camp altogether. But what happened was that 4 training camps we just did 4 training camps because the other camps we had to cancel it, and we only had 20 days of training camps. In this generation, the under 16, we were hoping, we were going to the European Open, and it was still cancelled. So this was not, we weren't expecting this, but, and now we are trying to how do I say, to resolve some things in the next season. We are trying to think and rethink everything to see if we can do more, and try to compensate what was this COVID time. So what we have here more, then it's not just training camps. For this generation under 16, we have the handball talent camp, the national gatherings in Algarve and Madeira, and the national training centers. So now I'm going to explain you what is this that I am talking here. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about the under 14. It's similar. The difference is that we don't have training camps in this age. We have this age in the regional teams. We organize the regional teams. So we have 9, and they compete between each other. And we do the evaluation. We are on that competitions. We see the players. We do a report about the players. So we have these players under control, but they don't do a training camp. And for this generation, we have the handball talent camp, the national gatherings too, and the national training centers as well. This generation, they didn't get to the third phase, the final phase of the competition. We had to cancel it due to the COVID. So what is the national training centers and gatherings that I was talking about? Okay, this is a map of Portugal. In the blue zones, it's the zones that we don't have much of handball. It's the zones that we are going to try to put development projects, because we have a few players in these zones. In the green zone, you can see the 5 zones that our North Training Center. With the North Training Center, we can get players from these 5 zones. The center, training center, we have 3 zones, and this training center, we gather players from these 3 zones. And then in the pink, we have the South Training Center, and we have more 2 zones in this South Training Center. Then one of our goals this season was that no player, we could not, the main goal was that we had to know every player that had capability to be in the national team. We had to see her. So we had to go everywhere and try to see every players in Portugal. So this season we start a new project, because Algarve and Madeira is a little bit far from everything, and it was really hard to have a training center there, because it's like the regional teams. So what do we do in this case? We go there twice a year. We go to these zones. We go to Algarve and we go to Madeira, and we do there a concentration with players under 16. We saw under 18 in the first gathering. We saw under 18, under 16, under 14, and under 12 in the first gathering. The second gathering in Madeira was cancelled. Was a little bit hard on me to cancel this gathering, but we had to cancel it. And in this way, I can say that our technicals, they can see all the players in Portugal. We have all the zones. We have a system to put them playing together in these training centers, or they play together in these gatherings if they are far. Okay, talking a little bit more about these national training centers. Okay, we have the North Center, we have in Porto and Aveiro, and there we have Seabra, Luís e Tino. They practice. We do 4 times a month. We do a practice. And we in this national training centers, we only see under 16 and under 14. In the Alcanena, we have Joana Santos and Tiago Bernardes, and we do twice a month. In Lisbon, we do twice a month as well with Artur Rodrigues. And in Madeira e Algarve, we do it twice a season. 2 times a season, we go there. Okay, so now what is our project for handball talent camps? We didn't, we had to cancel it. Okay, we are going to do it again next season, but this season we didn't get to the handball talent camp. And this is where we do some training camps, but specific. We don't have the training camps for the players under 14, and here in the handball talent camp we were going to do one big giant training camp with a lot of players, putting all the 14 best players on this age, and we were going to do one handball talent camp for them. Another handball talent camp that we were going to do were specific for wings and the goalkeepers, and we were going to mix the both under 16 and under 14. And the other handball talent camps that we were trying to do, it's like the giant talent camp. It's for players that are, don't laugh about this heights, okay? In Portugal, we are not that high. For this, for us, this is good players. This is tall players. So we are trying to put them all together and work with them, because we know they need different work and they need more specific work to become a good player. Okay, so now another topic is how do we do the players scouting with the National Center training camps. You already see a little bit of that, but for you to see in the age of under 16, we observed 189 players in practice. These players in practice, we did it, the observation I will explain later on in the presentation. But between the centers, the camps, and the gatherings that we did, we observed all of these players. In under 14, you can see here that we observed a little less in training, 47, but we know all the good players because we observed them playing in the regional competition. So this number, it's not expressing all the truth, because we saw a lot more of under 14 players. So here in this graphic, you can see in the right map, you can see the number of all the players that we have in these zones. Okay, and in the left map, you can see all the players that we observed on each zone. So you can compare a little bit what was our scouting. Okay, then I have here something more specific about the number of players that we have in total, the observed players that we watched in the center and the gathering camps, and then how many players of this went to the training camps. So we had 43 players in the training camps. In the 4 training camps that we did on under 16, we watched 43 players in the training camps. Okay, another thing that we have in mind, and we know that we have to think about the future, and we already detect some of the some of the players that we need to search a little bit more because we don't have it. So we are looking for tall players. With this, I don't want just tall players in the national team. It's not that, but we need to have them. And in this time we don't have it, and so we need to search, and we need to find these players, go to them, bring them to the the work of the national teams, and put them to work with us, knowing that now it's not a good player, but it's going to be it can be a good uh, player in the future. And we have to search two left-handed players. We don't have it a lot, so we are with our eyes open searching for all the left-handed players. And in Portugal, we have a problem. We are missing our specific playing positions of wings, because the good players in Portugal, they don't play in the wings in the national championship, okay, in the club. So all the good players that we see that can be a good wing, it's playing for a good wing in the national team. Now in this age, they don't have the specific training of wings. They are playing out. They are playing in other positions. So this is a problem with us, but we started to change it. We watched players, and we talk with the coaches. The good thing now is that we are binding with the coaches. We want the coaches of these players to be with us and to know what we are doing, what we are working. So we talk with the coaches, and they know that some players that don't play in the wing position, maybe during the practice, not all the practice, but they have to have a little bit of space to work in the wings. This is what we are trying to pass to these coaches, and still we are with our eyes open to see if we can find that player that we know that it's going to be a really good wing player. Okay, the next topic, it's how do we do the technical follow-up of the players when they go to the clubs. One thing that we have sure in the national team is that we don't do magic. They don't come to us in 4 or 5 days, and with us it's now with us in 4 or 5 days that they are going to play, and they are going to be very good. No, the player, it's the coach that is with the player, and the work, the individual practice that the player does, it's going to make her good or not. Okay, so um, this part for us, it's really important, because we want to give tools to the coaches and to the players for them to keep on working, to be best and best and best. So how do we do this technical follow-up? In the end of now it's just for the under 16, okay? In the under 16 players, we do, in the end of each training camp, we do a final report. every coach of every player that was with us in the training camp, they will receive a report where we specify, we say everything about the collective objects of the training camp, the specific working time report, the technical and tactical comments worked along the microcycle, and then we do a specific observation about the player, where we say everything in detail, what we observed in the training camp and what we think it should be. We put goals, we put objectives for them to try to be better and better. So this is really important. Then with the under 14 national team or players, what do? We observe the regional teams competition, okay, and we do a report too. We sent this report to the coach of the regional teams, and we do meetings with them. We already this season we had meetings with every regional coach. We showed everything that we want to work, everything that we work in the national team, and everything that we want them to work as well in the regional teams, because for us it's really important that everything come together and everything started to work in the same orientation. So the report we do about the under 14 players, it's similar. We observe the behaviors, and we talk about everything. For the regional coaches, we sent the report about the teams, and we give them some lights of what they should work. And then for us, we have a report about all the players that we watched, that we think it's going to be a player that can join the national team. Then we have the name of the player, and we have all about the player that get our attention. So we have now we have the report of all under 14 players that played in the regional teams, with the players that for us are important to be with our eyes open. Okay, so next topic, it's the performance follow-up of the players. What is this about the performance follow-up? This year in the Portugal Federation, we started with a new project, health and performance unit. This unit put everything all together: the doctor, the physiologists, the nutritionists, physiotherapists, high performance center, everything put together in our health and performance unit. Gives us much more conditions, and the main goal here is that everyone is linked together. So the doctor is not working alone, or the physiologist is not working alone or separate. Okay, they are not apart. So all together, the information goes all in all these topics, and then we have sure that we can do our best to have the performance follow-up of the players. what do? We have some regulations now. The players know that players that are for us identify as a good player, as a player of a national team, and they get injured, they will have to report it to the coach of that national team. And with this unit, we can talk with the player and check if she has a good follow-up, if she needs some help, and we can try to check in our unit the ways that we can help this player. Okay, now we have another big project that we implemented this season in the national teams. That is the education of elite players. This project is it's a project from Marco Santos. He's the manager, and he is the person in the federation that deals with all about the education. And this project, the main core is the education of the players. Okay, and this we do in the training camps or on a regular basis online and classrooms. I can say that now with COVID, for example, under 16 players, they still had English classes online with the teacher Leonor, that is again from the federation too. So this main core in the education of the players is the main core of this project, but still we want to educate the parents of the players. We want to educate the coaches that are daily with these players, and we want to educate to the national team coaches. Okay, the parents, we didn't get to that part this season because it was planned for the finals of the under 14 regional teams. During that championship of 3 days of gathering, we were going to do nutrition education for the parents, but it didn't happen. And for the coaches of these players, we did several things. We are in the gatherings that we do. We don't go just for the players. We go and we give lectures about all the work that we are doing. I can say that we went to almost every zones in Portugal. We created a presentation of the work that we are doing for these coaches, and we did too a thing that was we tried to do something. It went well in one training camp. We put we called the coaches of these players to join us, and they could see what we were doing with the players, and in the same time they were having nutrition presentations. They were watching and they were given physical about the physical work that we are doing with the players. They were there with us, learning with us and seeing everything that we do with them. So why do we educate? Because we believe that the players will be stronger, and if we educate players in and out of the playing field. So our main goal is to create top players, and for that we have to prepare them for a professional career. We have uh, to know that everything that they can have in the education. I'm going to show you next the topics that we have with them. uh, the, all of this, it's going to build a really good player, a top player. Okay, so who educates, who helps us doing all this work, all this presentation and everything? We associated with the High Performance Center in Portugal and with the National Olympic Committee, and we still have some sponsors that helps us to do all this organization. So this is the part where we do a lot with less, because we went to find associations that can help us to do things that us alone cannot do it. So here I will show you some educational topics. Okay, this was the list that we have for them. They didn't have everything from here, but English language they already have, and is with Leonor Malozzi from the National Federation. Then we already did it, the path and for the high performance player. For this was a presentation for in the high performance center during that training camp that I was talking about, uh, where we bounded the players and the coaches of these players and us and the high performance center. This was a big and the best training camp that we did was this one, where we could put everything together. So they have the code and conduct of the national players. Okay, it was given by me. We did it coaching too. Is Carla Fernandes, that's it's our partner, and it's doing this part of the coaching. We did communication and social media with Antonio Varela and Ana Teixeira from the National Federation. And there we have here some topics: career management, integrity and fair play, match fixing, financial literacy, psychology, nutrition, injury prevention. All of this is the list that we have, and we are still exploring um, to to manage the best way to get to the players these topics. One of the difficult thing about this is the organization, because we want to do in these topics we want to go by levels. Each topic has level 1, level 2, level 3, and this way we can go and do educational development on these topics as they are going to grow on the age. They are going to grow, they are going to have in the same topic but different, but more higher. Okay, next topic, it's the monitoring, planning and video analyzer. How do we do this? We use a very good tool. Okay, We now work with the XPS, and we are really happy with XPS because we can have everything in one application. I can show you here an example of what how XPS helped us in COVID. We have the players in COVID. They have the application in the telephone, and they received 5 days. They had the planning for 5 days a week. Our technicals did this great job of making all the practices for them. So the players, we had we can do everything in this XPS, and one of these great things during the COVID was because we could plan practices for the girls, and they receive on the cell phone, and they had the description, the video, everything about the practice, and it was easy for them to do the follow-up, and it was easy for us to plan, and it was easy for us to get the feedback and to be in touch with the players. So this was a great tool for us, and it's the tool that we use for everything, to plan, to check, to do the observation of the games, everything we do with this tool. Okay, next topic, it's the profile of the athletes and the development studies. We are associating with the top sports universities in Portugal, and we are trying to put these universities working with studies about handball. Now we are currently having some of these tests developing on the universities. These tests that was during the under 14 regional team championships, they were cancelled, but it's something that we for sure are going to do in the next season. Okay, so this is the future. We want, with all this work that we are putting together and all this structure and everything putting together, we want to create a brand. We want to create what is the handball players made in Portugal. This is our main goal. We want to create top players. We want them to play outside in the best leagues. We want to have our national teams in the top level. So this is the future. We want the future to be very good for the Portugal players, and we are doing our best as a team to help them to be the best. Thank you for the time. I'm always open for questions and sharing another projects. If it's someone out there that is watching this presentation and work with national teams, it's great for me if you want to share what you do in the national team. How do we do the national team work and organize? And so if you want to talk now in the end of the presentation, it's okay. If you want to send me an email and ask about something or share something, it's my email, so you can always contact me.
Vera, thank you so much. Really interesting presentation. I was lucky enough to see that presentation myself in Vienna in the beginning of March. Guys, are there any questions coming in? Ricardo, did we have anything in the group so far?
I have 3 questions at the moment.
Okay.
I'm not sure if there's if you guys want to write questions, right? If you want to talk to Vera, just press the raise your hand button and we'll allow you to interact. But in terms of the questions I've been receiving, there's one a bit more broad about the current context that I'm gonna leave to the end. There's one question here from someone who asks, what's the level of input? So you showed us a program of the development of under 14 and under 16 girls. And the question is, what's the level of input that the head coach of the senior girls has on that project of development you're having with the under 16s and 14s? Does it dictate anything? Is it like choosing the model of player and you are projecting the plan around that, or what's the level of input?
For now, this was planned only in the development of in the base. Not, it didn't come from above. But it's something now that we should and we will make the bounding. But it was easier to work like this because we didn't want to change everything in this season, and we didn't want to change the way we are doing in the senior team, and we started a new project, and this was a lower project.
Perfect.
And mainly our we don't think about the gameplays that they are doing, so we focus on the development of the player, the individual development of the player, for them to get the top as we can, the best as we can to the senior team. Perfect. And then okay,
Vera, there's another question a bit more practical. Someone asks, because you were saying that the under 14s do not have a national team, they have the regional academies where you observe them. What happens if you identify an under 14 that is good enough to be inside the under 16s already? Do you allow her to make that jump, or do you keep her on the regional academies and then take it later when she's 16?
We allowed we think about level, and we have a lot of players that are, we have two players under 16 that they go on the under 18. So for us it's always about the level. If the player is good to be there, she will be there.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. And the more broad question is around the impact you think all this COVID situation is going to have on the development of players, even in the number of players, because a few countries say that players will just give up playing handball because they will focus on, e-sports or stuff like that. How do you? And obviously, there's a financial side that's going to be impacted as well. And we were discussing that briefly. That national teams could have a little bit less money because of the sponsors not being able to provide as much. So, how do you see the impact of this situation in the plan you've just presented?
Yeah, this was something that no one was expecting, and this is going to be hard. Next season in Portugal Federation, the Federation is going to focus on helping the clubs, on helping the structures, on the development and focusing on how can we help the clubs of the measure that we have to pass to the clubs, for them to pass to the kids and to the parents, because the problem here it's the parents. If they don't put the player again in playing, I think maybe it's because the parents have yet afraid of what is going to happen. For now, we don't know what is going to happen. I can tell you in Portugal, we are already open the doors, and we are already, the clubs now, they are doing the transition between the the practices in the computer, and they are now going outside, and from this we can already see some impact, if this is going to have impact or not. For now, we in Portugal have the 5 players with 1 coach, okay, and we still cannot play handball. We just can do something about the physical work, something different, but we can start working now. In the national teams, for me, it's been really hard to think and to plan the next season, because if it's difficult to start in the club, it's going to be difficult to put players from different clubs, from different zones all together. So this is going to be hard for me and for the national team, as well as we know that inside in the federation, now the money is going to go to the clubs, and then we had the national team. So this next season, the national teams are going to suffer a little bit, because we are low in budget, because the money is going to be focused on helping the clubs and helping the players to not to quit from handball.
Perfect. But I've got one more question before we finish, if that's okay.
Okay.
Someone raised the question around the fact that you were including the measurements of players in your presentation, is it above
Yes.
170, above 175?
Yes.
Is there any vision around impacting the age groups of your club in Portugal? Because there's trends of people who say players should be grouped not by age but by ability.
Yes.
Others say players should be grouped not by age but by biological growth, as in size. And then we have what we have, which is players are grouped by the date of birth, or by the birth year. So is there any plans of changing that, just to maybe favor what you're trying to achieve?
For us, the only plan about that, it's really hard to change the competition structure, thinking like that, but that should be the ideal. If someone here knows how to do that, send me an email, because I'm going to be really glad to see this idea, because this was perfect. If we could put all the players playing in the level and not in the age, this was perfect. The thing that we do in Portugal, and the thing that we pass to our coaches is, forget if you are going to win or lose. Don't think about the winning as the main goal. Think about the development of the player, and if the player will develop more ahead, playing in in a different category that the own age, so put the player there. Don't use the player down just to win championships. And in the end, we know that we won the championship, but the player could win a lot more and could be a lot more evolved as a player if he was up. So what we are trying to do now is, let's focus on the competition when we get to senior.
Yeah.
In adult, in there, focus on the development of the player, and the clubs and the coaches, don't be afraid of putting the players playing in top. And we are talking about some measures to do the reverse. Players that start in the age of under 14, but they are not very good, and they can play on the under 12, adjust everything.
I guess that's precisely the question they were asking. If there's an opportunity for getting players together by level and not necessarily by birthday. But that was a great answer, Vera. Thank you. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
And if I knew it, I wouldn't give it to you. You would have to pay good
Yes,
money.
send me an email, please.
Because a lot of people would be asking the same question. But I guess it's more a change of mindset and than anything else at
Yes.
this stage. But anyway, I'm done with questions. I don't know if anyone has any other questions. I don't think so, because there was no raised questions anyway. So I'm going to go to the closing bit of this. First of all, and before I let you all go, just let you know that all this recording will be made available in the next couple of days. Vera is kind enough to share her presentation with us as well, and we will send it on the follow-up email that you will receive. As Vera said, if there's any contact that you want to establish, it will be on the recording, but we will also add it to the email that we will send after the presentation. So you feel free to get in touch with Vera. On my behalf and on England Handball's behalf, I would like to thank Vera very much for her presentation. It's great to see that, and I would like to think that I know a little bit of the context in a country where male handball was always the strong side of things. To see such a good and strong team working to raise the level of the female handball, I can only imagine that the results will come and will be great. And I really look forward to see the impact you guys are gonna cause. And yes, thank you very much for this, and we hopefully we'll have you soon again to further discuss this more in a different context. For everyone else, you guys stay safe. Try to respect as much what your own governments are telling you to do, and yeah, enjoy handball as much as you can, and we'll be back with a few more seminars in no time. So Vera, thank you very much, and hopefully you've enjoyed as much as we did to have you around.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. See you later, guys.